Hey everybody, what's up? It's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel, Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction and I share my life with you. So tonight, you guys, we are going to have Daniel on. Daniel came on, I want to say like a week and a half ago, at the beginning of the week though, and he shared his story with us, his whole story, but when he was sharing it, he had to condense a lot of it down. And so that night when we were ending the live stream, I was like, man, you need to come back on. Oh, sorry. You need to come back on so we can get dive deeper into your story. Hey, Mark. So we can dive deeper into your story. And yeah, so that's what we're going to do tonight. Let me go over to the Facebook group and let everybody know that we're going to be going live with Daniel. And I'm seeing all you guys are joining the Discord. I'm like, hell yeah, that's so cool. So we have Discord. Then Jexie also has a Discord. My friend Jexie, her Discord is according to Jexie. Then there's my Discord, Real Talk Recovery, and then we have the Facebook page, Real Talk Recovery. Going live with Daniel. Hey, come on over. I am a little early right now, so you guys just hang tight with me, okay? Can you guys hear my dishwasher? Hey, Merc, can you hear that dishwasher? You can't? Okay, good. Hey, Daniel, I see you coming in. It says your guests will need to connect their camera and their mic before you can add them to the stream. So allow the stream to have access to your mic and your camera, and then it'll let me add you to the stream. Hey, Chris, what's up? Hey, y'all. What did you guys think about the video I had put? There we go. Okay, I see. What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Hold on. Oh, gosh. Let me hear. Say something.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me, or is because I have my dishwasher on, and if it's too loud, I'm going to go in another room.
No, it sounds good. I can hear you fine.
Okay, cool. All right, Daniel, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad that you're coming over here to share more of your story with us. I'm really excited.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. How's everyone doing out there?
Anytime. You know what? I feel like we're becoming like in real life friends because I see you in the comment section and you comment and we get to talk then, and then I get to talk to you like you joined the Facebook group, and I feel like we're all kind of like becoming a little family, you know?
Yeah, I feel the same thing. It's pretty cool. There are no other groups that are like this, in my opinion. They're all they get messy and people start talking foul, but this just all support and love in this group. I love it.
I'm trying to keep it like that, and I think as long as we all just stay positive and support each other and keep a positive mindset, stay away from gossip, stay away from drama, I think for the most part we'll keep on rolling like this, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I see cool things happening with your channel for sure.
Okay, so listen, here's the deal. Okay, so I texted you and told you I really want you to kind of like, can you go more into detail about when you and your ex-wife got together and had your girls and how they got taken away, what for, and how you got them back and what that experience was like for you. I gotta let Paco out to go pee pee.
Yeah,
Hold on.
no problem. Well, it
Okay.
looks like you froze up on me.
Am I back?
There you are.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, when initially with my first daughter, I at that time I had left my ex-wife for the first time. Okay. Again, my phone keeps slipping. The same situation. I knew I just couldn't take my kids and go. I knew that I'd have to fight it from a distance, if you will. And so I left her, and the kids stayed with her, and it was probably 2 months before I was notified that we had lost our daughter, Jody. And that was devastating. I was not clean at that time. I wasn't totally out there, but she was my ex-wife. And
Yeah.
So it was at that time that we went back went into Inner Steps, into that Christian program that I told you about.
Yeah.
We did that program for 6 months to a year. Now, the whole time of doing this program, we're working with, I don't know how it happens other places, but they will place the kid. It starts that she goes to this place here in San Diego. It's called Polinsky. It's a horrible place. Oh my God, it's like a jail for children. And you literally go see your kids, and you're buzzed into like a prison door, and there's all these people watching you, and it's awkward. It's devastating. I know I heard you say that you were explaining a similar situation, and that you couldn't stop crying, and your son didn't know how to respond to that. And so he went to your husband.
Yeah.
The same type of situation. But from that place, they placed her in the custody of, I guess, foster parents, you call them,
Yeah.
like temporary foster parents. And this particular husband and wife, we thought we're all good at first. They were really supportive. They let us visit with the kids often and whatnot, and even put me to work for them. I was doing odd jobs here and there, and doing everything that was required, drug testing. At this time, we are clean. We are working a program. We are working hard to get Jody back. It's only when 6-7 months had passed, and we're like, hey, no, what's going on here? And the bigger picture really came to play. So my daughter has ADHD, which, I mean, a ton of kids have it these days. But
Yeah.
for whatever reason, that put her in a different kind of placement. These type of foster parents get more money per month for doing what they're doing. More like kids with Asperger's and stuff like that. But she was lumped into that deal, and this family was getting a lot of money. And it was kind of a hustle that they had. And so we really ran into some issues with that. I started struggling with them as well. But there was a CPS worker at that time that had stepped in. He was a supervisor. His name was Joseph Smith. He's still doing CPS to this day, but he was a Christian. And so he approached us in a different way. And he worked with us, and he helped us to get her back. As soon as he stepped in, and that's why I see a lot of people. My phone keeps slipping. Sorry.
It's okay.
But I see people attacking CPS, and I certainly understand that not all CPS is good, for sure. Not all cops are good. Not all jailers are good. You name it. But there are people in that position for the right reason.
Yeah.
And I guess this is where my faith would come in. That in those trying times with that family, when I felt like we're never going to get her back, like she's lost to the system, I just had to have faith that my God would work it out, my higher power. And he did. He worked it out by bringing this guy Joseph in, and we got custody of her again.
did you feel like that other family was kind of because they okay? So in my situation, Nathaniel, when he first got taken, they didn't have anywhere for him to go. So he had to go into this home, and they called it a respite home. And it was like where a bunch of kids were at. And so he stayed
Right.
there for the first 2 weeks, and then he went into a foster home with a family. And the family that he went to, I had always heard these horror stories about people doing it just for the money. But I can tell you this, the family that Nathaniel went to, they were amazing. They were they loved Nathaniel like he was their own little boy. And like I still like think about them to this day. Like I saw her and her husband in J.C. Penney the other day, and Nathaniel doesn't recognize them. He doesn't even remember it. But they were such good people. I had such a good experience with that family. Now they were awesome, but it was Child Protective Services that made the transition and made my experience so much more difficult than I felt like it needed to be. You know what I mean?
I do, and I've dealt with mm, something just happened with the sound.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Are we good?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I've certainly dealt with CPS workers with the wrong intentions, or and I know that I have a certain appearance just because I have a shaved head,
Yeah.
and I've shaved my head for 25 years, but that and the tattoos and my size, I can see it in people's eyes. Uh, when, yeah, it's not everybody, but I know when I'm getting that judgment. Um,
Yes.
and, and I've certainly got that mostly from women workers. Not, it's just my experience. And they're probably, it's that mother instinct, and it's that, the, women have favor, and they're in the corners of the women for the most part. But in those situations, I felt like I don't have a leg to stand on. Like no matter what I did, wasn't going to be enough. And those situations really suck. Those situations, uh, if I didn't have a higher power, I don't know what I would have done. I would have given up. Certainly, people have given up. Now, the difficult thing about whatever CPS may ask you to do or require of you at that point where you've lost your kid. Okay.
Mhm.
And that could be a lot. I mean, it was a lot for us. What I had always done is listen, I'm an open book, and even more of an open book later when I was fighting for custody myself for the girls. But listen, if you guys want to come in at 3 a.m., one of the benefits of Suboxone is that we're drug tested.
Mhm.
Monthly. So I have 8 years of clean drug tests that can hold up in court. If you want to see me at work, anything, I'm an open book. If you want to come in, surprise me, look at my cupboards for food, everything. Even the coldest hearted CPS workers, after a while, respected that.
Yeah.
I knew I wasn't going to win by any kind of tough guy act or intimidation or anything like that. It's just not going to happen. Um, but that attitude did turn over even the coldest of hearts, and they said, man, and it was genuine. It was genuine on my part. Now the family that took Jody, they were very well off, and they had other businesses as well, and I kind of saw this as a side hustle
Mhm.
for them, a very profitable one. They weren't the worst of people. Certainly I had heard the horror stories like we all do,
Yeah.
and that wasn't the case, thankfully. But they were reluctant to help us get custody back, and it seemed like they just wanted to keep getting that check. Uh, and we didn't end off on good terms with them. We didn't end up on bad terms, like negative, but just. We, now that CPS worker Joseph, I
Mhm.
still run into him from time to time, and I still credit him with uh, being the reason that we got Jody back. You know.
What? How was the So I feel like you have a really different experience with Suboxone and your CPS worker than I did. What? How did they? Okay. So you were on Suboxone when your kids got taken away, right?
Yeah.
How did the courts respond? How did your worker respond? Were they like, "Hey, Suboxone's great, keep on doing it"? I mean, how did that go?
At that time, it was a harder fight. I'll admit, I didn't have the years of success to pull from, and um, I didn't have anything really. And nobody that doesn't have an in-depth knowledge of what it is and experiences with it. My experience is nobody is supportive of it. Um,
Right.
and I've had to just sit down with people and say, look at, one heart to another. This is just me, and this is why I take it, and this is what it's done. And I would be dead right now if I didn't. And it's that when somebody realizes, like, oh, it's really, this is a life or death situation for him.
Yeah.
If you can get somebody to understand that, and really feel that, like, oh wow, and think about all the people that didn't make it because of that stigma on the medication, that didn't take the medication, that are no longer here with us. uh, the numbers on my side are countless of people who did so, who didn't take that, and I'll have
Yeah.
discussions with people, about it, but they're still leery of it. I think people are starting to come around
Yeah.
a bit now, but still, you know. So you had a bad experience with it?
Okay, so okay. My husband got put on Suboxone while I was in rehab for 30 days. When I
Right.
came out of rehab, he said, "Hey, I got put on Suboxone." And we already had our caseworker that was assigned to us. So she knew he was on Suboxone, and she was like, "Well, this medication can't help you." This was my worker. My worker, she was like so supportive. She was like, "I've seen people get on this medication. Their whole lives have turned around. They've gotten their kids back. They're stabilized." She was like, "Yeah, if you want to try it, go ahead and try it. If it doesn't work out, you can get off of it." And I was like, "Okay." The court, the ad litem, the attorney ad litem that represented my son, she she wanted us completely off of it. She wanted us, we had gotten on it, and within a 6-month period she wanted us to get off and be completely off of it in order to get custody of our son, to have him to be able to come in and do overnight visits with us. We had to subpoena our doctor, the nurses, and our counselors to come to court to testify for us, because there was just this misconception that we were still getting high. And she said that in the court. She said, they're still on drugs. They're still using. They shouldn't be able to get their child back because they still have a narcotic in their system, and we we sat down and we had this big meeting with her and the judge, and I had to recite to them all the stuff I had learned in the 12 steps, and all the things I had learned from the meetings I went to at my Suboxone clinic. And then finally they were like, I don't know what changed her mind, but it was the judge was like, "Okay, I'm sorry that you feel this way, but I see a change in them, and I'm going to let them get their kids back." And I was
That's
like,
super cool.
I was I was so afraid, because that attorney, she had been gunning for me and my husband since we came in. She wanted my son to go to my husband's sister. My husband's sister is a foster care parent, and she actually adopted two boys right after our son was born. So when my son was removed from my care, she wanted my son, and I
Is
didn't
it
let her
now?
have him.
Is this the same sister that you've spoken about?
Yes.
That you've had it? Oh,
And so
huh.
I didn't feel comfortable letting Nathaniel go to her, because I felt like if I did, she would never give him back to me.
Right.
And so I
Do
took
you
that.
think she feels some kind of way because of that since then? With the issues you guys have had.
I think that she resents me because I didn't have any trust for her. She had always shown me this, like, "I hate you. You're not a good parent. You're not a good mom. You don't deserve to have your kid." And the way she treated me and my husband, I just was like, I could just imagine. And I had seen other families go through this where they let a family member have their child and then they didn't want to give the child back, or they would turn against that family member and, say they're not fit to have their kid. And I didn't want that to happen.
Right.
And so I didn't say that to her, though. I just told the courts came to me and they asked me, they said, Nathaniel can go to foster care or he can go with your sister in law. What would you like to do? And I said, I would like for him to go to foster care.
The bummer part of all of that, just not to get off topic, but real quick, I heard you say she's a Christian,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, that's a bummer for me to hear, because I'm a Christian, and if there's any one thing anybody can do is come to me with the Word of God, with what that's my truth, and if you're coming to me with my truth, and I'm wrong in some way, that's that's how you could correct me, and of anything else the Christian religion preaches, it's grace and mercy, and it's a bummer that she has shown neither. you know
It's been so difficult because I'm a Christian and I believe in God, and I know that I know in my heart that that's not the way things are supposed to be. And even when we got together for Thanksgiving, I mean, it was just like, hi, hi, and that's it. But I'm going to tell you what I did. I pulled her oldest daughter to the side and I told her that I loved her and that I was sorry if I
Okay.
ever hurt her, and that I hope she knows that she was the oldest, so she knew that me and Neil were in active addiction. And so I just wanted her to know how much I love her and how much I want my son to have her in his life as his cousin.
Yeah.
And so the her kids are so amazing. Like, they love me and Neil so much, but she won't let them see us. Even after almost 5 years of being sober, you would think that it would all change and we would be able to be a family again. But it was just like surface, like hi, hi. And then it was so awkward the whole time during Thanksgiving. I was like, oh, I couldn't wait to leave because I felt so uncomfortable. But I,
Those are that's let me think for a second. That's why we get such a bad rep as Christians, and I don't know her, but I know a million people like her, uh, just heavenly judgmental, and so heavenly holy that they're no earthly good. Um, and that's unfortunate. That's so unfortunate, because they're missing out on the grace and the truth of the gospel that they claim to profess themselves. Um, and that situation is always in my prayers for you guys.
it breaks my heart because I know my husband loves his sister so much, and I know that he just wants to have his sister in his life. But I could talk about that
So
all
you
day
want to hear an
long.
interesting dynamic real quick
Okay.
about so my sister. Okay, I have one sister. And if you remember, I had to pull her out of the house when my dad was dead,
Yes, I
etc. Well, when I married my ex-wife, she moved to the same city I was in here. She began dating my brother-in-law, so she's still with my brother-in-law. So I'm uh, twice. She's common law married to
Your
him.
ex-wife's brother is who
Yeah,
your sister is
yeah,
married to.
yeah. And you know what? He's a good guy, actually. We've always got along. Um, we have had a fist fight, but the type that we pick ourselves up and shake each other's hand. And he's a good guy, and they're very supportive. And he is the only person from my ex-wife's side of the family that I really kind of allow them to mediate, any kind of visitation or anything.
Yeah.
My ex-wife's dad too. I allow visits with him because he's always been respectful. He's always, and I don't ask much, but yeah. So that's an interesting.
So they were totally supportive, though. But the courts and your caseworker for CPS, they were cool with you being on Suboxone, huh?
I wouldn't say cool with it. They weren't
Uh-huh.
against it. I don't think they knew enough about it, and
Mhm.
I really think that these are the instances where they need to see somebody walk it out. You
Yeah.
know, and where those people, the medication has been around for a long time, uh,
Mhm.
but like we talked about last time, there's not a lot of tangible testimonies out there or people with long-term success, um, whether it be, have been on it some years and tapered off, or are choosing long-term medicated assistance. Either way, but that's coming out now, and I think that that's what your channel is, along with all other types of rehabilitation, which is really cool about this channel. But the medicated assistance side, I think, is just something that don't have a voice, you
Right,
know.
right.
And
That's
CPS workers are going to watch channels like this,
yeah.
judges are going to watch channels like this, you know.
And hopefully they'll see like our experience and what we went through, and so that way if someone comes in like us, they'll be able to say, oh, I watched this channel and those people are doing great, so maybe I should give this person a chance, you know what I mean? That's what my hopes are for people that come to our channel that are not on Suboxone. I hope when they come here that they can ask questions and that they're greeted and they're welcomed and they feel like they can come in and ask things without us being upset about it. You know, when I first started talking about Suboxone, I used to get real defensive with people when they would ask me things because I was so used to having to defend my recovery. But now I'm looking at it from a more of a standpoint of I have to help educate people so that way if I can, they'll have a broader understanding, and that's just one more ally to add to our list of people who stand behind us and support us because we're kind of lone wolves over here, you know.
Yeah, I think, again, going back to the Christian thing, I think if I faced more judgment from Christians than anybody else,
Isn't
whether
that is that sucks, you know,
it does really suck, and
because it's the opposite of the way it's supposed to be.
it, it is, and I think, again, it's just unfortunate. God doesn't, God can do whatever He wants to do. But I've also heard you talk about this. He didn't choose to heal you in that way. He didn't choose to heal me in that way. And if all it took was faith, uh, trust me, I had all the faith in the world. The multiple times I relapsed, all I wanted was sobriety. If all it took was faith in my God, and a miraculous healing, I would have got it. I would have had it.
Right.
And that's not to limit my God and say He can't do that, but He didn't do that with me. He led me to a doctor who showed me some medication, and He created those doctors, and He created the doctors that made the medication, and so on and so forth. So,
A lot of people will say stuff. They'll say, "This is how I explain things. God gave us free will. Okay, if I'm struggling to stay sober and I keep relapsing, and I'm just hoping with all hope that God's going to come down and heal me, and I'm truly believing that He can. I'm truly believing that these 12 steps are going to work. I'm truly believing that, and I'm taking action. I'm doing the work. I'm going to the meetings. I'm praying and meditating. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, but it's just not happening for me. That's where that the will, the brain that God gave me started kicking in, and I was like, there's got to be something different that I can try. If it honestly, if it wasn't for my husband getting on Suboxone, I would have never gotten on it because I had been taught one way, and that one way was the only way. And I used to be very, very closed minded to a lot of things. But because I have been through the situation with my son being taken away, it was a humbling experience for me getting on Suboxone, and it made me realize that I had to start opening my mind to different things because there's not just one way to do anything.
so can I ask you a question? That one way that you were taught, what that's like, that strict, nothing, no medication, no nothing. If you even have a sip of alcohol, you've backslidden, and uh, you,
Yeah.
uh, you know, let me share with you my experiences with that. That's the way I was taught too. And I was, first went to Victory Outreach, which is the strict, about as strict as you can get rehabilitation wise. And my experience were the stricter that it was, the more fake it was, the more yeah, on the appearance, everybody looked great. They wore ties, they were, there was this whole bravado. But if you remember, that's where I was introduced to opiates, in
Mm.
that environment. And there were, even with cigarettes in that environment, people even judged, like, if you smoke cigarettes, you're a heathen. And more sick and twisted stuff happened to me in the years I was involved with people of that mentality than anywhere else. So there was no real truth or honesty. Uh, and I'm good with that kind of recovery. I want to be an open book. I want to be honest when I'm struggling. I want to be
Yeah.
able to say, "Man, I'm struggling." When I feel victorious, I want to be able to do so without judgment,
Yeah.
because we know ourselves. Uh, we know ourselves. We know when we're going to backslide. We know what's going to cause it. Sometimes uh, all we need is a listening ear. Other times, a supportive arm. Um, Anything but judgment. Judgment does nothing for nobody.
Mm-mm.
Period.
No, it doesn't. Do you think, can I ask you something? Do you think that, or do you, when you are being on Suboxone, do you ever like have cravings to use opiates or cravings to use other drugs? Because this is what I think people who are not on Suboxone think. They think that we are somehow like taking this like easy way out, like the side road to recovery. We've got this shortcut, and I think they think that we're getting over. So, do you struggle with thoughts of using, any drugs at all?
I really don't. It depends on what you mean by struggle. I think over
Do
the
you have
span
those
of,
fleeting thoughts, like where you think, "Man, it would be nice to have a drink of alcohol today"?
not necessarily that, but I can be in a Circle K line getting a soda or a rock star, and somebody can come out of the bathroom and they
Mm.
just fixed, and I physically lock in with their feeling. They're sweating. I can tell they're, and that sick kind of, ooh, I remember what that feel. Yeah, I have
Yeah, I know what you mean.
absolutely,
Yeah,
or somebody all twacked out at a register or something, and again, I link in and I go, oh man, she's loaded, and that, I remember what that felt like for a second, man. But then I like, man, look, she's twacked out. She's in a bad situation.
right. She's not going to
You
be
know,
sleeping for like a week.
yeah.
And I
But
love
now
to sleep.
I love to sleep too, and I don't struggle at all with opiates, and that's God's honest truth. In this 8 years, I did have kidney stones,
Hmm.
um, and that was an interesting. That was debilitating, worst pain I've ever felt in my life. I had never had it before or since, uh, and I was on the job, and like within 5 minutes, I told my friend, "Hey, you got to get me to the closest ER, right? I don't know what's happening, but something's wrong." you
Yeah.
know and I did have to, for that time, with my doctor, I had to take for maybe a week or 2 weeks painkillers and go off my Suboxone.
Hmm.
And
How was
I
that? How was that for you? Like, tell us exactly how it went, because I know a lot of people, they have maybe surgeries and they're so afraid to go off their Suboxone and take painkillers, or vice versa, or they want to stay on their Suboxone and not take the painkillers. How did it go for you?
So for me, I think even going off of the Suboxone for, I don't remember how much, like a day or two, there was a time he gave me that it would clear my system. I didn't
Mm,
feel the painkillers at all. We're talking a prescription of like 35 milligram Percocet. I know in my mind I'd have to swallow all of that
yeah.
just to get one foot in front of the other, just to feel anything. So
Right.
what really wasn't a challenge for me, or I just wanted to get through this, and I never want to feel that pain again. I drink lots of water now, uh, and apparently that's what caused it. Drinking too many rock stars and sugar,
Oh,
um,
damn. And so, did you have to
and the
pass the
heat, being
stones?
dehydrated. I did, yeah,
Oh.
I did,
Oh my
yeah.
god.
It's like a little piece of like a piece of sand pebble. It's incredible what that little piece, it just feels like it's cutting right through you. And I've had a lot of issues in my life, this was the worst, you know. So,
I've heard
but yeah,
horror
I didn't.
stories of men that have passed kidney stones, and they tell me that it literally feels like it's cutting through their junk like a knife.
Listen, when I got in the hospital, right, I happened to be closest to La Jolla, California, which is a very wealthy part of San Diego. And I walked in the ER and laid on the ground because the only way I could get any relief was if my body was prostrate. And the nurse came and was like, "Mr. Kent, you have to get off the ground." I said, "I'm not getting off the ground. You're gonna have to drag me off the ground." That's how, like, this has to stop now. That's how intense it was,
Damn.
you know.
Oh man.
So
And I every time I've
yeah.
been into halfway houses, I don't know what it is, but I think when we get sober, like I guess when we're eating and we're doing more things, there was like 4 or 5 girls in the halfway house with me that had kidney stones. And I'm like, why is everybody having kidney stones? Either that or they were lying to go get pills, you know? But I've
Yeah.
never had a kidney stone, thank God. Okay, tell us more about um you fighting to get your full custody of your daughters.
Okay. So at first, if you remember, when I had came back from Colorado, I went back to Ennis Steps, and there was a point my in-laws kicked her out and allowed me back to the house.
Yep.
And at that time, there wasn't much of a fight. I mean, she was in bad shape, and the kids were just handed over to me. Now, a year or two later, I don't know exactly how. I think 3 times I've been challenged in this 8 years. Uh, Not one time has she gotten any leadway. And I think that unfortunately, what she doesn't understand is each time that she does this, she drags me through this process.
Yeah.
It's like another file in her, another failed. Because yeah, I can miss work for 3 or 4 days. This last time I was challenged hardest, I think this was a few months ago. Now let me tell you what happened a few months ago. I was on my way home. My wife called me and said, "Hey, your ex-wife showed up at the door." Okay,
Mhm.
now my oldest daughter Jody, the one who had gotten taken, the one who had the most time with her,
Mhm.
opened the door to her mom, said, "Hold on a second, let me go get my mom." Went to my wife now and said, "There's some tweaker at the door." Yeah. Yeah, and she wasn't invited. She was, didn't even recognize her. And there, I was on the way home. I went straight to the police station just to file an incident report because I have to do this. It's how, you with my past and my record, I have to be very, very careful how
Right.
I proceed with stuff. I'm always going to be perceived as the bad guy. So that was like a 10-minute little. They were very uncomfortable
Why was
with
she
even
coming to
talking
the
to her.
house? Why did she think that was okay?
Yeah,
It's because she's out of
you,
her mind. That's why. It's like
she's out of her mind.
when
Yeah.
we're tweaked out like that, like I used to think things were good ideas, like taking my son to TJ Maxx so I could go buy him baby clothes and I've been up for 7 days, you know what I mean? And I put him in the car seat and just Neil and his parents would be like, "No, no, no, Nicole, you don't need to do that." So I do understand like why she did it, but I also think like all this time is going by and why just show up out of nowhere? Like I feel like it hurts them more than it helps them, you know?
What I think, and knowing of her, is what she does is latches on to men and just kind of sucks them dry. But every now and then she'll get with a new guy or something, and get on a good one, and start feeling herself. And so after that brief 10-minute uncomfortable encounter with her coming, a couple of weeks later, I get a knock at the door. Somebody serves me. So here I go again. So we go the first visit. Usually this consists of 3 visits. The first one we sit down in mediation, her and I, and she came to court shot out. I mean, it was obvious as day to anybody, even people that don't use, but I could tell the second that I met the mediator, the woman, she hated me. She despised, I could see it in her eyes. I don't know why. I don't know what I did or but we got in there and I was frustrated. And she said, "Mr. Kent, you seem extremely frustrated." And I was like, you have no idea. I have a right to be this frustrated.
Yeah.
I'm the one having to deal with this when she leaves and dealing with my younger daughter. My younger daughter peed the bed for till she was 7 or 8 years old, struggling with, these issues. So yeah, I have a right to be angry,
Yeah.
and that first mediation here a few months ago, she requested what she wanted weekends right off. You could ask for anything you want. She could literally do this to me once a month for the next 3 years, and I'd have to follow these steps, right? But she asked for a weekend. So next thing, and the other 2 times before this, it hasn't got this far, but the next step is mediation. So unfortunately now I have to take both the girls to sit down with this woman, and she's going to interview them. And that's something I've always tried to avoid. Not because I'm being overprotective, but because I don't want my children in court. I don't want my children to experience that stuff. There is a much easier road back to them. A much easier road. We have never asked for much, but she knows that we're not stupid either. So we bring the kids in, and they shared their honest, how they felt. That my youngest one shared that, Rebecca is her mom. It's all she knows. And the oldest one agreed the same and said that she does have a bond, and but she doesn't even recognize or know the person that she is today. And the third, so then this mediator takes all that information, what she got from her and I sitting down, what she got from the kids sitting down, and she fills out a report and submits that to the judge. Okay, so now the third visit is where the judge is going to, you don't get to see a judge till this third visit. So this third visit, I'm ready. I mean, I have letters from people. I'm more ready than ever. And we get in there, and the judge says, Mr. Kent, this paperwork was filed incorrectly to begin with, so we're not even going to hear the case today. And I'm just like, you got to be like, how does it get this far in the system? How do I take 3 days off of work, miss 3 days off of work, for you guys to realize the paperwork was filled out wrong? But after that, the judge is the same judge that has heard these cases in the past as well. And she complimented me on how well I'm doing, how successful things have turned out. And it's just another nail in her coffin, unfortunately.
Yeah.
At this point, like I shared the last time, if a 6 months to a year program, okay, and if she got sober and was serious about it, and we could just find a third party, somebody that's not neither corner, okay,
Right.
somebody that could mediate for us. We've always given her that road back. We even started phone calls at one point early on, and there was a point she was doing good in this last 8 years, good enough that I thought, you know what, let's start with phone calls. Let's just see if at 6:30 once a week you can
Commit
you
to
can do that.
calling.
You can do
Right.
that. And she couldn't even do that. And so, in my opinion, and I've got mixed reviews from this, and I've heard people say that's not fair and it's not right. Well, listen, if you can't, this is your children. If you can't set aside anything else, when you're high, when you're out of it, you can't do any of this. You can't do anything CPS. You can try. You can think you're going to look good. You can be in the beginning of a good run and think I got this all figured out. But it's all going to fall apart. It's just never going
Right.
to work for you.
Because you're going to get drug tested and they're going to know you're getting high.
Well, and you're gonna be spun out all night one night and have to be at court at 7 in the
Miss a
morning.
visit or a court
You
date.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, you're making beads in a garage somewhere, with 8 other people. It's yeah. I mean,
When you first started sharing about your ex-wife with me, at first I was kind of like, I don't know about this guy, because I'm all about I'm all about the woman getting her babies back and working towards getting her, being sober. But then I got to like know you on the last interview, and then I've gotten to know you just being here on my channel with me and commenting and being active and stuff. And I realized like you would help her any way you could to be able to see them, but she, like you said, can't even call once a week at 6:30. And that's the thing. It's like that's all she had to do was call once a week,
Yeah.
and that can't even get done. And so, damn, man, like I don't know what it is, but I'm so thankful and grateful that like I wanted to work hard to get Nathaniel back. Like I couldn't live my life without having him, like I couldn't even breathe when he got taken away from me. I couldn't even sleep at night. All I would see was his little chubby face. When
Yeah.
I would close my eyes, I would see his face. I could not sleep. It was like I was it was like a torture, but in a good way, because it was like what God had to do to me to make me realize like you've got to put in work to get your kids back. But at first I was just like, I don't know about Daniel, but now I'm like, you're a really awesome man, and
Thank you.
your girls are so lucky to have you as a dad because you're doing the right thing. You have to protect them because what if she did decide to get it together for a short period of time and the court started letting her have visitation, and they go over there and she has a syringe laying out, or some guy busts in and hurts or harms one of the girls, you know like that's the kind of stuff that happens,
And I would kill somebody for that.
right.
And then here I'm in prison for the rest of my life. I have to be very careful about my responses to things. I'm civil about anything. My children, though, like you were just explaining that how it affected you mentally. Being away from my children is a weight that I couldn't carry. Anything else in life, there are drugs that I could do to bury that. I could drink it away. I could cover it up. That weight right there, that weight was not something. No amount of alcohol even touched. No drug even touched that. It just made it worse and worse and compounded. And I couldn't handle that. Period. That without my kids, I had to do what I had to do, and the same thing you just explained with me, I've had to do, and I would encourage men out there, just like you said, at first you didn't know, and I know people look at a book and have a certain. We all do that. I do that too, but so I've always been open instead of defensive. Uh, a defensive posture. I've always been an open book and said, "Here, ask me questions. Come in, see my life. I'm far from perfect, but I'm an open book. Get to know me a little bit, and then make your decision based on facts and who I really am. And that's what has got me through all of this. And for guys out there that feel like maybe they're not getting a fair shake, or a mediator or a CPS worker is out for them, they might be. They may be in that position for all the wrong reasons, but all you can do is your best, your 100%, and then uh, allow your higher power to take it from there.
I have a lot
You
of
know,
guys that watch me who have kids that are in child protective services, and and they're working to get their babies back. I have one in particular. He just texted me last night. His name is Frank. He actually came on the live stream last night to say hi to all of us, but he's working really hard to get little Frankie back. And little Frankie's mom like hasn't been in his life for years. It's always just been him and his dad. And so somebody overdosed in his house, and they came and did a call and took him because Frank was doing heroin. And so now he's gotten sober and he's working, he's really trying to get his kid back. But it's like, I think a lot of people don't think they can get their kids back. They think, I'll never be able to get my kid back. You will never be able to get your kid back if you stay getting high. But if you get sober, then you will get your children back. It'll take a minute, but if you're getting clean and you're not getting it, if you're getting clean, if you get on a maintenance medication, or if you go away to treatment, or if you do some other program and you get off of the drugs you will get your kids back. That's all you got to do is get off the drugs. Then what will happen is your life starts stabilizing. You start getting a house, a job, a car, stuff for your house, a bed for your kid. Like, it's possible. When me and Neil got Nate taken away, all we had was a crib and a little changing station for Nate's diapers. That's all we had. And we slept in one bedroom, and now we have everything we've ever needed and more. But it's only because we're staying sober. That's the only reason. Because if we weren't staying sober, it would all be gone.
And here's the key too. You're absolutely right. If you stay sober, if you do what you need to do, you will get your children back, but it's not going to be in your time. And
Right.
that's going to be the hardest pill for you to swallow after getting sober and getting right, is that this isn't going to happen tomorrow. Okay, I'm sober, I'm right now. That was the hardest pill for me to swallow. Months and months and months of jumping through hoops, and and I can honestly say a lot of that stuff was completely unnecessary. I was ready to have my children, my daughter back, or my children at that time, but it was required of me. It was one road that I had to travel. And so for anybody that may be watching this and just feel like, hey, I have no hope. It's been 6 months. It's been 8 months. It's been a year. Man, hang in there. Keep doing what you're doing. It will happen.
Yeah.
It will happen, you know.
It for sure will. Actually, let me tell you, I have some success stories. I have a girl. Her name's Sophia. She might watch this video later. She just got her daughter back. I think it was last month, and I've been with her for the last 10 months, and I hadn't seen her commenting for a while, and I thought, where is Sophia at? And then she came back and she says, I've been with my baby. I've got my
Mm.
daughter back. She's got her peer support specialist certificate. She graduated her IOP. And I'm just like, it's so cool because like people check back in every now and then. They'll go away and I'm like, where did so and so go? And then they'll come check back in and they're like, I'm sober and I'm doing good. And I'm like, holy cow, that's amazing. It's such an amazing feeling to see people that came in and they were broken. They didn't think they were ever going to be able to get their lives together, and then the turnaround that comes from the other side of things, and I'm back and I'm better than I was before.
Well, my life today is genuinely, I would have never uh, considered even being able to live the life I live today. It's just so, I mean, when I wake up in the morning, I can't believe it. I can't believe the things I have, the things I've accomplished, my sobriety, even my family and those closest to me, uh, see it firsthand. They also saw all my backsliding and my relapses firsthand. So they were leery for a long time, and they have every right to be that way because,
Yeah.
I mean, I was just a repetitive backslider, and but here I sit today, and I'm gonna. It's a continued struggle, a continued walk, but I'm doing it. We're doing it.
We're doing it. We
Yeah,
are doing it. You know what? I
yeah.
bet you if you could get like our families together to all talk about it, they would be it's like a miracle to see someone go from like dying, killing themselves, and to being able to come on and like share experience, strength, and hope with other people to help them know that they can do it. You know what I mean? But
My grandma. Uh, because I lost my mom and my dad young, and my grandma was the closest thing I had to that, and really the only real Christian that I had during that time that that continued to pray for me. I mean, she was the type of woman that woke up and hit her knees, and a praying woman. And so before my grandfather died, he got to see me getting sober, and she has got to be a huge part of this success, and got to see how well the kids are doing. The girls are doing amazing. Listen, my oldest one is super involved in church, and she in her youth group, and that's by choice. We don't make our kids go to church or be involved in things like that. We would like it, but
yeah.
never want to make them feel forced. But she's at an age where when I was her age, I was already fully addicted to
Right.
drugs, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And and my youngest daughter is a straight A and B student. I mean, on a roll every month. Uh, and it's just amazing. God is good, and my life is good, and it is possible.
So, just one more thing. Her being the
Yep.
oldest, and I know you said your other daughter had she like it wasn't. Did they struggle with those issues like feeling like they didn't have a mom or abandonment issues or just like that? I don't know that I didn't have that experience, so I don't know what I would say. But just not having that mother. I mean, didn't your wife
Yes.
that you're married to just come in and like totally be the mom?
So yeah, they did struggle hard, and there is nothing harder on me than seeing my kids going through that. And Um, there was a long while where I was working an apprenticeship and had them full time and juggling all this for a while. And it was crazy. And they were struggling with a lot of stuff themselves. Now, when my wife, now that I married, came in, uh, now she has two children as well. So we have four children total, right? And that's another cool dynamic too, because she was married also, and her ex-husband and I have a great relationship. He's welcome in my home. We respect each other, um, and everything. But as soon as my wife came in, she legitimately is like the mom that I wish. I mean, she's words can't explain. I mean, the kids love her to death. She goes to the schools on the field trips, super involved in their life, and relates to them on a level that most moms can't.
Yeah.
So they do still struggle. And when things happen like her popping up,
Yeah.
my ex-wife, that kind of stuff is just so unnecessary. And um, this is something I've got into debates with people too. They think, oh, that I should allow her to see the kids in that state, and no, I shouldn't. And I
No,
said,
that would be that's irresponsible of you to let
yeah.
your kids be around her while she's under the influence of drugs. That's not good for them to see. They need to be protected from that. You know what I mean? If she was sober, I mean maybe, but that would have to be like it would just she would need to be sober for a significant amount of time so that way you would know she was serious about it, you know? I don't think
So
you should ever subject your kids to being around somebody if they're high. Like, no, not at all.
so that's personal to me because uh, I could have done without everything. I got to be with my parents growing up, and I got to experience all that firsthand. And from my firsthand experience, let me tell you, I could have done without all that, without them all together. I know that sounds harsh and hard, and I loved my parents, but that there was no benefit to me
Right.
seeing that or going through that in my life. And so that's where those decisions come from.
Because I think the way a child internalizes their parents getting high and using drugs is I'm not good enough. So my mom has to get high. My mom doesn't love me, so she's getting high. Or she's getting high because she doesn't want to be around me. You know? I think
Especially
that
girls.
totally, totally. I remember when my dad worked overnight, I would be like, my dad doesn't love me. That's why he's working overnight. And my mom's like, no, he's working overnight because you're expensive. you
Yeah.
know? But there's a big difference between working and getting high, you know? And so, yeah, you're doing the right thing. I don't think that they should ever have to see her like that. And you know what? Her putting herself out there and coming to your house and your daughter answering the door to her, damn, man. I mean, I would just want them to not ever have to see her like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and that it makes me angry in ways that I can't get angry.
Yeah.
That's why I had to go straight to the police department. Listen, I come from a lifestyle that we don't talk to police, we don't deal with police, we don't respect police. But that's another thing, though. I've come to respect police, and I married into my wife's family. Her dad's a cop, high rank, just retired, really high ranking, and so I've got to see that other side of cops and stuff too, and that's been cool. But yeah, that kind of anger and stuff that shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
you know.
Thank you so much for
So
coming on and chatting with me today. I love having you
yeah,
on. We're going to have you on again because next I want to talk about the prison stuff.
yeah, we'll talk about my worst hallucination ever. I know I listened to yours, and
Okay.
um, do we
That's
have a
what.
second right now?
Yeah,
It
go
won't
ahead.
take too long. Okay,
Okay.
just to end on a funny note.
Okay.
Okay, because this happens to all of us. If we were real spun out and into that before I was into opiates and stuff, uh, and I had been stayed up 7, 8, 9 that nights. That wasn't unusual for me. This particular time, I had been up for 2 or 3 nights. Um, I was selling small amounts, 8 balls, quarter ounces of dope, not moving no weight that anybody cared. Uh,
Right.
and I didn't do an unusual amount of dope or wasn't doing anything unusual, but I was by myself in my garage and I had this little peephole that I would look out of,
Yep.
and I was looking out of it, and I saw these infrared lights, like from rifles, uh, hitting my garage, like 10 or 12 of them, like they were coming from behind bushes. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to get raided right now, right? They're going to raid me right now. Now, I've never been a sketcher. I've never been like we got to hide. I've always been like, let's deal with this. Let's confront it. So I probably stayed like that for 2 hours watching people in full SWAT fatigue. I mean, as real as I see you right now, that these people were there, and
Oh, I
so
know.
finally, I said, "Screw this!" I threw my garage door open, and I was like, "What's up? Let's do this," you know. And as I would walk up to them, I crossed the street and I try to confront them because they weren't drawing down on me. I was like, "What's going on? What the hell's going on?" So I'd walk up to them because I wanted to confront them. But as I would get within like 5 or 6 feet, they would vanish. And I was like, oh, but I could back up and see them again and walk
Yeah.
forward and they'd vanish. And I was like, what's going on here? So I had these heavy hitters that lived down the street from me. These guys had done a lot of time, and they were the type of people that like to mess with tweakers. They were tweakers themselves, but so I thought these dudes have a projection machine, right? And I swear to God, I thought these guys have a projection machine and they're screwing with me, right? Uh, and these dudes were like heavy duty Nazi lowriders, like not to be played with. And so I went over there and I was like, what the fuck, And thank God they didn't kill me. But I left to go get some beer. I was like, I need a beer. And these people on SWAT fatigue were all over the street. I mean, they were just watching me. I was talking to them the whole 9 yards. I came home and I was so concerned. I took my mom and my sister next door to the neighbors. I said, they're not going to raid us. They're going to rob us. And I was so convinced. My mom said I was foaming at the mouth. She had never seen something like that. And I took them next door and I watched these people go in my house. I watched people carrying out TVs. I was like, oh my God, I was furious, but I was scared. And eventually I passed out on the floor and woke up at the neighbor's house the next day. But that's absurd. And that kind of stuff does happen. And to this day, I don't know. Uh, it had to be something funky in the dope. I don't know.
I did that shit all the time. All the time. Towards the last 3 years of my addiction, every time I would shoot up methamphetamine, it would 2 or 3 days would go by and then something would switch in me and I cannot tell you how many times I have watched underneath a door the crack like this, footsteps going by, waiting for the cops to kick the door in, and I'm just standing there like, what are they gonna do to me? I have done that I have sat in the same position for so long that my body was cramped and stuck because I didn't budge for like hours, thinking that, man, so many times, so many
I had
times.
one other thing. I had like a half ounce of dope once. This is the same around that same time, and I had put it in these magnets, and I'd put it under my truck in my house, and I had rain that night, and somehow water got into the dope, right? So I was like, oh man, it was all wet, and I'm gonna grab the acetone, and we'll take care of this. We'll lose a little bit, but whatever. And so one of my friends went and got my acetone jar. It says I've wrote acetone on it in big black markers. How could it not be acetone, right? So we go to rinse it down and take care of this, and we come back and it's like, God, it's like half a gram. It's went from like all this dope to like half a gram, and this gasoline smell. It's
Oh,
just so heavy. It was gasoline in the acetone jar, right?
oh,
And it dissolved all but about half a gram of it. Uh, and we did that half a gram.
right.
We did all of it.
You did the
Pure
gasoline dope.
gasoline. Pure gasoline. That's the insanity of it. But
Ah, I
yeah.
totally listen. I have one time we were at. This is the same house that I was talking about in Josh on Josh's channel. That trailer, where I don't know the process of doing all that, but I know that I have stayed up and done those damn matches for so many hours, getting that
For the
red
phosphorus.
phosphorus
Yeah.
off the back of those matchbooks, that my arm, I had carpal tunnel from doing it all night long, from just. And then there was one time where they were like, I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if they were putting food coloring in the dope or what, but it was like purple, green, blue, yellow, like kind of like that. But this is before Breaking Bad ever came out. So it was just like coming out different colors and stuff. And I remember the guy that was doing it, he's like, I don't know what's going on, but this is that Smurf dope. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Smurf dope? And then I get these ideas in my mind, this is Smurf dope. And then after I've been up for a little while, I'm seeing little Smurfs walking around the trailer. Like, I cannot tell you, I could not help but hallucinate. And then people would be like, Nicole, get the fuck out of here. Just leave.
Yeah.
and I was like, at first it was fun. They liked having me around. But then when I started turning that corner and I would start hallucinating, everybody was like, get her out of here. Make her
Yeah.
leave.
Kick rocks.
Yeah, because I was going to either call the cops on myself and they were going to come out there and we were going to get busted. Because I would call the
Right.
police all the time. Hey, I think somebody's breaking into this house and there's nobody out there.
Oh, I would have flipped out
You would have
for
kicked
sure.
my ass. Like, seriously, I was, and then I would have these bigger guys, kind of like you. They would fucking ban me. They would be like, she's not allowed at this trailer anymore. She's not allowed. There would be a sign on the door. Don't let Nicole come in. Okay. I
Oh
love you,
man.
man. Thanks for coming on.
Love
I'm
you
going to
too.
let you go have a good time and holler at me later, okay?
Will do. You have a
All
blessed
right.
night, everybody. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys. So that was Daniel. Daniel has got some stories for days. Next time we have him on, we're going to go and talk about some crazy prison/addiction story times. So I just enjoy his vibe. We vibe pretty good off of each other. So I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream too, okay? Girl, Krista, we love I'm telling you, I could tell you, me and Daniel, I'm sure if we got put together back then, we would have drove each other crazy. But I love you guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'm going to get a thumbnail made and absolutely. I will see you guys. Today is Saturday, so I'm going to upload this video. And what do I got tomorrow? Tomorrow's Sunday. Um, remember, I told you guys we would do the step study tomorrow. So tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, we're going to be working on step 1. Okay, so meet me back here tomorrow. Love you guys. I hope you guys have a great day. Hey, ATX2, what's up? Welcome. Thank you very much. We're having a good time, man. And whoever tells you like you can't have fun in sobriety, they're a lie. Okay, the devil is a lie. We are having a good time, you guys. We're all staying sober. Look, it's a Saturday night, and we're chilling at home together, talking about recovery and doing the damn thing. So thank you guys all for being here. If you haven't joined the Discord, I will link it in the description box of this video, and I will link it in the comment section. So come over and join the Discord and chat with us. Also, we got the Real Talk Recovery Facebook group. It's the same as my YouTube channel, real_talk_recovery. Make sure you put them underscores in because then you'll get somebody different. So I love you guys, and I'll see y'all later. Mwah! That's right, basket case. We got back what addiction took away. Exactly. And I'm glad you commented. I've been missing you around here. Hey, Crystal. All right, you guys. Love y'all. Good night. I'm going to go lay down with the boy.